It's good to see you guys. Going through the film, a lot of good things, some things to improve on. I felt that where you look at that first half and that third quarter, in particular, you have our team. And you could see kind of what we could become, and then maybe what we've been. And I think in all of it, it's our choice. It's a choice we have to make, and I think it starts like today. I think attending class. I think taking notes. I think being on time for your learning specialist. All of those things. I think the hard choices that you can make consistently put you in a position for easier things down the road. I think the easier your choices are, put you in a position for harder things. And that has been a consistent talking point, and I think it's been one that has taken a while to take hold. And so we're still fighting that fight. We're going to have to mature in that sense so that we can be that first half team, because we've got a lot of football to play. Excited for this next game. I know the environment in Lubbock will be a good one, and a lot of familiar people there. And you watch the film; they play hard and aggressive, and it's impressive to watch. And they're a good football team, and so our best is going to be required to get out of there with a win. And so excited for the week ahead. Any questions you guys got?
Dave, any special feelings, emotions going against Joey's team, going against Joey?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Joey and a lot of the guys on the staff. And so, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I want them to win. I want them to have success, not just versus us, but I want to see them successful. I know the type of people they are and what it means to all of them and everything. And so you want them to have their own success, just, not this Saturday.
It's going to be weird the first time you kind of see them, like, in person in the red and black and on the other sideline.
No. I think it's, for us, it's going to be, for us, it's going to be starting fast. And then, when we do start fast, not having a lull, not having a third quarter, so to speak. And so that we continue to pound the rock and continue to work on the things that are right in front of us so that we are in position to finish strong. I think that complete game has been way elusive to us. And I think that's probably going to be the most difficult thing of all of it.
Dave, there was a 10-year period in this series where it was a neutral site, but you have to go back to 1990, the last time the Bears won in Lubbock. Is there concern there considering some of the road game struggles this season?
No, I think I think part of the fight, and I appreciate the question. I think part of the fight for us is to not really, look at it that way or label it that way. I think, I think some of the things that were for sure a struggle and for sure a lapse and for sure an underachievement in this past game in the third quarter were really kind of the same things that hurt us at West Virginia, and so one was home, one was away. I don't think the home and away really has anything to do with it. I think it's things within the team to where, I'm going to invite hard things so that, I'm callous to any circumstance that I'm in and that my standards will override any of that. And I think we're still working to get to that part.
Dave, you've talked about the trackers that you guys use to measure the miles per hour that the guys run and stuff. What are some of the other technology, and metrics that you guys use, and how has that changed since, you started coaching back in the day?
So it's a good question. I appreciate it. I think it's funny because you kind of go back. For me, it's a little bit full circle. I think, there was earlier in the year was probably might have been relying on it too much. The hey, this is how fast we're running. They can tell you if it's this is the how far, how hard, measured by divided by time. That would be the load. So you get an idea of that. And then, it can tell you, hey, if they're under 3 miles an hour, this could be equated to walking. This is how much walking is going on. This is who's doing the walking. This is what period of practice, what part of the game. So all of that is there. And so, I think there's early part in the year, I was probably going off the numbers maybe too much. And it was because, I wasn't really feeling the energy of practice. And these would be the old school things that prior to having numbers that you would, if you were just to be on the practice, you could feel it. And I know there's dudes that come and watch practice, and they'll have a sense of like, is this team in it? Are they not in it? What's the feeling of it? The numbers sometimes can, while they're good, I think they're an aid to that feel. I don't think they replace the feeling, the read of it, And so these last couple of weeks, really, these last 3 weeks, going on 4th week now, I think the feeling has been there. And then you have the numbers to kind of to be there side by side, and I think that's a positive thing.
Coach, you've experienced a night game in Lubbock a time or two. What do you remember about what the atmosphere is like?
I think they have passionate fans. I think it gets to be loud. I remember when I was there, like the frozen tortillas, and just I think it's a fun place to play. I think you get into college athletics to be in environments where it means something to people, and you're playing for something. Something's at stake, and it all kind of matters and everything. And so that's going to be the case coming up Saturday night.
Dave, has the offensive line, maybe particularly the last couple of weeks, become the guys that you thought they would be?
I think we're working to get there. I think in prior to the last couple of weeks, there were some guys maybe still living in the aftermath of the year before, and then maybe there's some guys that were fighting the growth that needed to occur, or maybe there's some younger guys that are just trying to figure it all out. And I think all three of those things, at different stages of the earlier part of the year, have all kind of taken center stage. And I give Eric and Jeff and all them a lot of credit, and then the O-line too, because it's hard to look in the mirror. I think it's so much easier to look out and not kind of be critical with yourself, but to be it's this guy's problem, or it's if only this call was played, or any of that. And so we never really ever got to any of that. It was more of I see it, and they've been fixing it, and it's good to see. And so the more falling forward this past game, and aided by O-linemen pushing running backs, then really I can remember you put a couple games together. In this last one, we kind of beat multiple games of falling forward. And O-linemen have a lot to do with that.
Sorry. When you lose a player to the transfer portal, and that's part of the days of college athletics, is that something that you take personally?
No, I appreciate the question. I think there is so far in our experience here, the guys that have gotten the transfer portal, that thought has entered your mind way prior to the season starting, and you could kind of sense it. We're working really hard to kind of wrap our arms around them and to show them, they might be thinking this way, right? How about we think this other way? Why don't we embrace this? Why don't we, and it's not to say that any of it was necessarily, hey, there's no this is what I'm going to do or any of that, but you could you knew that it took an all it took an encompassing view and a real kind of commitment from everyone to really be able to really work to get this dude to feel loved and feel seen and feel like he belongs. And I think it's a good thing, because I think that guys want to be able to feel that, and if the school that they're at is not giving them that feeling, then they should go somewhere where they do get that. And so I think all we can do is in that circumstance, see reality for what it is, treat them with respect, and really kind of make ourselves available to them. And then if it doesn't work out, try to help them so that they can be somewhere where it does work out.
Could you give us a status update on Craig Williams, Monterey Baldwin? He went out late in the game, and then Tay McWilliams.
Yeah, Tay still is a week or possibly more out, and then I think Monterey, the feedback we're getting right now is we won't really know to the end of the week, possibly Thursday, and so he won't really be doing much until then. And then, I'm sorry, who else did you say? Craig Williams. Yeah, so he is on his way coming back, so he'll work out with us today. And so, granted that all of that goes good, it's a good chance we'll have him for Saturday.
Would you consider going ahead and redshirting Tay?
That could be something that comes up. We haven't really got to that discussion yet, though, with him.
When you have a guy that's a power back like him, not that he can't run, and he gets knocked out, basically, and it looked like it was almost helmet to helmet. You concerned about his mentality of what he does well when he comes back, when he suffered that?
Yeah, I think anyone that's injured, period, I think there's any form of an injury, and I'll get to the specifics of your question, but any form of an injury, I think really you're talking about two types of athletes: those that have never been injured and those that have, and they're very different. The ones that have been injured realize what it's like to be all alone, like the world still goes on, and I'm not involved, and why is everyone still going about their things, and don't they see me over here hurting and not, getting rehab by myself, and everyone's playing games and I'm not. And I think there's the mental side of that is just such a strong thing. And I think for coaches to be side by side with all that, it's way important. And then I think when you add the concussions and then getting hit in the head and all that, I think it adds a bunch of layers to it. And so I think taking appropriate care for only them on their recovery, one, but then two, on answering the questions that come up of, am I ready for this again? Am I feeling confident in my abilities? Am I feeling confident in my health? All of those things I think really have to take some time to be addressed so that you're coming back better and stronger than before. And so I think it's for sure the quality of that care is most important.
Coach, in terms of Blake when he came back on Saturday and he scrambled pretty early, took a hit pretty early, in terms of that, is that something where did you have to tell him, hey, maybe stay in the pocket a little more this week, or is that a prerequisite to him coming back knowing that, hey, he's going to have to be able to scramble and run the option and take a hit?
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think there has been some learning and growing, I think, just with Blake just out of the pocket. And I think it's still continuing, now. Absolutely, And so I think from really going all the way back, here's a former shortstop, here's good agility, good speed, right? Good athleticism, good instincts and everything. And then I think, somewhere in there, we're just being in the pocket and just wanting to be right, I'm sure, and wanting to probably be perfect, to be honest. I think all of that has kind of held up some of the stuff out of the pocket. And then I think there's been turnovers and things that have kind of aided in kind of the holding up of all of it. And so I think our ability to fight through that and use that as an impetus to be better, I think is going to be a big part of the second half of the season for us, because I think Blake is a weapon when he gets out, and you can see glimpses of it, of the different release points, the instincts, and I just think the continued growth on that phase of his game, I think, will make him better, make us better.
Dave, how have you seen Matt Jones progress? Obviously, he's played a couple different positions here.
Yeah, so he's, I think this last game was probably one of his better games. And I think, Matt is always one that's very instinctive, has been a playmaker. I go back to the Big 12 championship and everything, and I think his role as a pass rusher and as a playmaker is one that really can still be fulfilled for this year. And I think this last one was probably the most glimpses we've had of it. I think, and there's been talks with him of like, Matt, these are the things that we're seeing. What do you see? And him saying, yeah, this is where I'm doing good. This is the areas I can improve. And so we've all been really working hard to get that done. And because I think when Matt Jones is playing like Matt Jones, we're way better. And I feel like we're on that path.
Dave, when you turn on the film, what do you think is the biggest difference between Texas Tech now and when y'all played them at the end of last year?
Yeah, I think their level of effort is really good, and I think it just speaks to their coaches and everything. And when you watch them play, their effort's strong, and I think offensively they play really fast. Their tempo, and they've had a few different quarterbacks in there, but they've all found ways to get the offense to work off the particular trait of the guy that's there. And then I think defensive-wise, a lot of pressure, a lot of stunts, a lot of blitzes, not a lot of defenses that look the same. There's a bunch kind of being thrown at you, and so you've got to prepare for kind of some chaos with some speed to back it up, and so it makes it where you've got your work cut out for you.
Dave, it's hard to project, but is this the Richard Reese y'all saw in recruiting?
Yeah, I think yes, I think the guy that plays hard, that plays with passion, that is way driven, that is humble and always wanting to learn, and is someone that plays with his his heart on fire, is really, when you ask that question, that's the first thing I can think of. It's just how passionate he is. And I think I think we talked about it last time, was when he's hitting the hole as hard as he is, and his legs still churning, his pad level's down, and the O-line got him 4, and he got 1.5 yards or 2 on his own, right? Over time, the confidence of that offensive line just take off. And then after 2 or 3 reps of that, now the O-line's pushing him. So now it becomes 2-3 yards. And I think all of that matters, and that is happening right now.
How much of a load can you see Quaylon Jones taking?
It can be more, and I think his finishes with his runs, where I thought were way impressive. I was way proud of him. He's been blocking and taking on A-gap linebacker blitzes, and he's been catching balls out of the backfield, and he's been doing some of the dirty work type stuff, and then for him to be able to get the ball and then finish the way he finished on multiple occasions. And you go back to the beginning of the year where maybe there was a pitter pat and there was kind of a pause and a read and a light of caution, and all of that's out, and he's just playing fast and aggressive. it's really cool to see. It's a tribute to him, and so we all need more of it.
Which obviously we know what Ben adds to the pass game from a tight end perspective. But in terms of Drake, where have you seen him become more of a guy where maybe you can give Ben a couple plays off and use Drake more in the passing game?
Yeah, Drake has been similar to what we just talked about with Quaylen, just a lot of the dirty work, the down tight end, responsible for moving 6 or 7 techniques, or for sealing this 5 technique and getting up to a linebacker, or pinning an edge on a bootleg, right? The other tight ends maybe got the over route, and so I think some of his work has been that, but the growth in him has been more of, hey, it's one back, one tight end, three receivers, and he's that one tight end, and he's getting the action to him, and he's getting he's the first read, in the progression, and he's becoming more of a focal point. And I think the consistency with him and his work ethic, and he had a shoulder banged up, had a quad banged up in this game, and it didn't stop him one bit. And he came out and he played well after all of that. So it's credit to him.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.